Incredible moment. 8-year-old girl drives billionaire to hospital after he faints in his car. It was just another sunny afternoon in the small suburban neighborhood of Oakwood, Ohio. Children's laughter echoed as they played tag in the park, the sweet scent of blooming flowers hanging in the air. 8-year-old Emma was among them, her shiny brown hair bouncing as she chased after her friends, her heart buzzing with ambition, dreaming of one day becoming a doctor. She wanted to heal, to make a difference. But little did she know, her chance to prove her worth wouldn't come from textbooks. Suddenly, a sleek, glistening car pulled into the park lot, catching Emma's curious eye. The sunlight reflected off its polished surface, creating a dazzling display. As she approached, her heart raced, captivated by the car's luxury. But upon drawing closer, her excitement turned to dread. There, slumped over the steering wheel, was a well-known billionaire, a man famous for his lavish lifestyle, who had collapsed in his vehicle. Fear gripped her as she turned to her friends, pleading, "Call for help. He needs us." But their faces were frozen with uncertainty. Rich people were just that, disconnected from ordinary struggles. They hesitated, caught up in assumptions. Emma felt a tingle of loneliness surge within her. She alone seemed to see the gravity of the situation. Determination bubbled up inside her. She climbed into the driver's seat, her small hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. The weight of responsibility settled upon her shoulders, bold and heavy. "Hold on," she shouted, her pulse racing like a heart in overdrive. With a deep breath, she turned the key, the engine roaring to life. Navigating the streets with a mix of fear and focus, Emma dodged potholes and sidewalks, her heartbeat sinking with every jolt. Just a little farther, she urged herself, her mind racing. She could become a doctor, be someone who saves lives. Here, in this chaotic rush, she embodied the true spirit of resilience, quietly proving the world wrong about the rich and their connections to humanity. Finally, they arrived at the emergency room. Emma burst from the car and flagged down the nearest nurse, her voice echoing with urgency. "Help him. He is not breathing." As the hospital staff rushed to assist, a wave of relief washed over her. She had done it. She had saved a life, though the fear still lingered. In the days that followed, as the billionaire began to recover, Emma learned he was more than just a name on the news. He valued life in ways she never expected. Their conversations bridged a divide, revealing shared dreams and fears that transcended their vastly different worlds. But when the billionaire approached Emma's mother to express gratitude, tensions flared. Prejudices erupted like a volcano. Misunderstandings lurked, ready to jeopardize everything. Would they both rise above their biases, united for change, or would fear keep them apart? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With empathy in the air, the question lingered: could two seemingly opposite people break through their societal conditioning? Emma felt the electric tension, their journeys intertwined, their futures uncertain. The hope that blooms in the cracks of division called out, but whether it would blossom remained to be seen. The next chapter awaited, and with it, the possibility of healing beyond the hospital walls. Emma sat in her room surrounded by books, but her mind was far from studying. The conversations she had shared with Mr. Collins' laughter, his stories of adventure played like a movie reel in her mind. Each visit from him while he recovered brought something new. He spoke of the world, the multitude of struggles, and the importance of kindness. It was as if he was teaching her lessons more valuable than any textbook. Despite these moments of connection, The tension with her mother hung heavy in the air. Emma sensed her mother's worries deepening. "We're just different, Emma," she said one night, her voice tinged with concern. "He is rich. His world is not our world." Those words embedded themselves into Emma's heart like sharp thorns, making her question their friendship. But Emma, firm in her belief that friendships could bridge any divide, couldn't let go. As she played in the park later, she watched the sun cast golden rays, lighting up the laughter of her friends. But something was off. She felt divided, caught between two different worlds. The thrill of saving a life battled with the fear of her mother's feelings. "Emma!" a voice called. It was Mr. Collins, standing at the edge of the park, a gentle smile on his face. She darted towards him, excitement bubbling inside her. "Hi, Mr. Collins." They met and shared a secret smile before they vanished into a cacophony of giggles, animals, and dribbling basketballs, like an oasis amidst the chaos of her doubts. "I wanted to thank you again for what you did," he said, kneeling down to her level. "You are a true hero." Emma felt a blush rise to her cheeks. His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, making her forget all the fears inside her. But just then, a small crowd had gathered, caught off guard by their interaction. Whispers began. "What is he doing with a kid?" one of her friends murmured. Emma's heart sank. Fear coursed through her veins. Their scorn was palpable. She had thought the world had changed, but here it was again, ready to pounce, trying to put her back in a box. "Emma, come here." Her mother's voice cut through the air like a knife, protective and sharp. Emma's stomach churned. She wanted to stay with Mr. Collins, to embrace the friendship blossoming between them. Yet, her mother's tone reminded her of the divide they faced. "Is everything all right?" Mr. Collins asked. His brows furrowed with concern, observing the shifting tides of emotions. Even though fear flickered like a flame within her, Emma swallowed hard, determined to stand her ground. "Yes, it's all right," she cried, voice rising above the rising tension. "I want to talk to him." Mr. Collins smiled, but Emma could see the concern in his eyes. She wished she could make her mother understand the billionaire was not just a label. He was a friend who had changed the way she saw the world. "Maybe we could go for ice cream?" she proposed, her heart racing with hope. But in that moment of yearning, Emma noticed the shadows tightening around them, the whispers growing louder, skepticism seeping like water through cracks. What would her mother say? What would her friends think? "Emma, we need to go," her mother insisted, the finality in her voice hanging heavy over Emma like a storm cloud. What she didn't expect, though, was Mr. Collins stepping forward. "I think I can help," he offered softly, looking between Emma and her mother. "Let us talk this through." No judgment, just explanation. Their eyes met in that moment, an unspoken connection thrumming between them. Could his words really pave a way forward? Emma's heart leapt at the hope. But could they overcome the stigma that loomed over them like a dark cloud? Would Emma's mother open her heart to understanding? As tension simmered just below the surface, the next chapter promised to be a tumultuous ride, full of unexpected twists. Emma didn't know if she had the strength to push against the waves, but she was ready to try. Emma stood frozen, her heart pounding heavily in her chest. The weight of her mother's gaze pulled at her like a heavy blanket. She hadn't anticipated such a moment. Mr. Collins stepping forward, putting himself between her and her mother. It was bold, a gesture of support, but it made everything feel even more precarious. "Please," he continued, his voice steady, "if you'd just let me explain how much Emma has impacted my life. It's not as simple as you think." Her mother's expression remained uncertain, her protective instincts warring against curiosity. Emma felt another wave of hope spill over her. "Mom, just listen," she implored. "He is not just a rich guy. He is like a friend to me." Her words spilled out, desperate and earnest. He talks to me, he shares his life. It's so much more than money. Mr. Collins nodded, encouraging her to continue. Emma saved my life, he added, his tone earnest. She didn't hesitate when she saw me. She jumped into action when no one else could. His eyes sparkled with gratitude. You should know how brave she is. At that moment, Emma's mother shifted, the hard line of her mouth softening just a touch. Emma seized the opportunity, pressing on. You always told me to look out for others, to help where I can. He was in trouble, Mom. I couldn't just walk away. Her mother looked between them, the tension in her brow deepening. I understand that, she said slowly. But people talk, Emma. They see a girl with a grown man, and they make assumptions. I just want to protect you. Emma's heart sank again. Did her mother really think that? But this is different, she exclaimed. You don't know him like I do. The whispers bubbled again from the crowd nearby, echoing her fears. What is going on? Someone hissed from the sidelines. It made Emma want to shrink away, to hide. But then Mr. Collins smiled at her, reassuringly, and a spark of courage flickered back to life within her. Let us not let their words define us, he said, taking a small step closer to Emma's mother. I know I'm different, but I care for your daughter. That means something, doesn't it? Emma held her breath. Would her mother hear him? Would she understand? There was a pause, a moment where everything felt like it was hanging in balance. Tension prickled in the air, and time seemed to stretch. Her mother's eyes softened, just a little. I don't want you to be hurt, Emma. Her voice was quieter, like she was conceding some of her reservations. I want to be. Emma pleaded, determination flooding her tone. He is always kind, and he listens to me. We share things. Just as hope began to blossom, another voice broke through the conversation. This is embarrassing. You shouldn't be hanging around him, Emma. One of her friends spoke up, disdain dripping from the words. The words struck Emma hard, like arrows aimed squarely at her confidence. She could feel the heat creeping up her neck. A mix of shame, anger, and frustration surged within her. This was her moment, and now it was about to slip through her fingers. Maybe we should just go, her mother suggested, her protective instincts resurfacing. But it was the crest of the wave, ready to crash. No, Emma said, voice rising. I want to let them decide who I can talk to. At her words, the silence was palpable, a sudden hush in the park. Mr. Collins watched her intently, pride shimmering in his eyes. Emma, it's not about them, he said calmly, addressing the crowd without any sign of desperation. It's about what you feel, and who you choose to be. But just as Emma thought they had a chance, one of her friends blurted out, You're just a kid. How could you possibly understand? And those words stung. The insecurities rushed back like tidal waves, threatening to pull her under. Doubt clouded her thoughts. Did she really understand? Could she stand her ground amidst all this bewildering judgment? Emma's hands trembled, caught in the pull of conflicting emotions. What if her courage wasn't enough? What if she couldn't protect the friendship that had opened her eyes to a world beyond her own? Emma, Mr. Collins began softly, sensing her dilemma, but she interrupted with a fierce shake of her head. I know I can be brave. I know that deep down. She took a deep breath, gathering every ounce of strength. I want to be that person. Right now. With every heartbeat, she felt the uncertain tides of friendship and belonging press against her. Was she truly ready to step into this unknown? Would her heart guide her through the storm ahead? As she met Mr. Collins' eyes, a flicker of understanding passed between them. The path before Emma trembled with possibilities, but could she find the way amid the chaos of doubt that swirled around her? Emma could feel the weight of those words hanging heavily in the air. She squared her shoulders, the fire in her chest roaring to life again. This was her moment, and nothing would make her back down. She turned to Mr. Collins, whose calm demeanor had been a beacon for her. There was strength in his gaze, a reassurance that wrapped around her like a cozy blanket. "Just because I'm young doesn't mean I can't understand," she said firmly. "I've been through things you can't even imagine." Her voice echoed in the silence of the park, swelling with power. The crowd shifted, murmurs picking up, people looking between her and Mr. Collins, as if waiting for someone to make the next move. Emma's heart raced faster with every heartbeat, the nerves dancing, but she pressed on. Life isn't always black and white. Sometimes you have to trust your heart. Her mother's eyes flicked to Mr. Collins, noticeably conflicted, and Emma seized the moment. "Mom, people make judgments all the time. Don't let that be our truth. Just see him for who he really is." Emma could feel Mr. Collins' quiet strength beside her, urging her forward. "What if we're meant to help each other?" she asked, taking a step closer to her mother. "I want this to be okay. You have to believe in me." The crowd was still now, whispers fading into an almost respectful silence. Emma could sense her mother's defenses softening, though the worry never fully disappeared. For a moment, the world around them faded. It was just Emma, her mother, and Mr. Collins, standing in the eye of a storm they decreated. Would they let that storm tear them apart, or would they hold fast? "Emma, sweetheart," her mother breathed, biting her lip. "I don't want anyone to take advantage of you. I just want you safe." "I know," Emma replied, her voice softer now yet steady. "But I could never be happy if I let fear choose for me. We teach each other so much." Another friend piped up from the side. "You're just a kid. You don't understand what a dangerous world it is." The disdain was clear, but Emma felt lighter. "Maybe it is," she admitted boldly, "but that doesn't mean I can't be friends with someone just because they're different. We need to understand each other more, not less." Mr. Collins looked down at her, admiration shining in his eyes. She felt empowered by his faith in her, lifting her spirit higher. Her mother's expression began to shift, the apprehension slowly giving way to contemplation. Suddenly she seemed lost in thought, weighing the differences between her worries and Emma's conviction. Emma's heart raced, a mixture of hope and fear coursing through her veins. What if her mother chose to trust her? What if they could find common ground? "Maybe I can learn to see things through your eyes," her mother finally said, voice cracking with emotion. "Just promise me to be careful?" "Of course, Mom." "I promise," Emma gushed, relief flooding through her. But as the wave of reassurance washed over her, Mr. Collins turned serious, a shadow crossing his face. "But this doesn't change who I am or what I represent. People will always judge us. We just have to rise above it." "What do you mean?" Emma asked, staring deep into his eyes, trying to unearth the shadow that had crossed his face. As he hesitated, attention flickered back into the air. The crowd shifted again, and it felt like the world had tuned back in. "I've never been the kind of person to make friends easily. What happens if I make the wrong choice?" Emma felt a rush of emotion. What did she say to reassure him? She had fought for herself, but what about him? What if the choice is always right? She countered, feeling her heart ache for him. What if we're meant to help pull each other through all of this? Just then, a voice broke through the renewed silence. "You're in over your head, kid." The challenge snapped. Could they withstand the flood of judgment? Emma's confidence began to sway again, the tide of doubt rushing back to claw at her. Would Mr. Collins' fear overcome the connection they'd just forged? In a world brimming with uncertainty, could the two of them each, fighting their own battles, find the power to lift each other, or would the weight of expectation drown them both? Deep down, Emma felt the stirring of something stronger than doubt, an ember of hope flickering in the dark. But with the stakes higher than ever, was she brave enough to fan it into a flame? The air felt electric. Emma stood rooted in her spot, taking in the eyes of the crowd, and the way their expressions shifted with each heartbeat. The confrontation had become more than just a family matter. It had morphed into a public spectacle, a crossroads of opinion and emotion, and suddenly, it felt monumental. "Hey!" another voice chimed in, trying to rally the crowd. "This guy doesn't he belong here? Look at him!" Discontent rippled through the group, eyes narrowing on Mr. Collins, whispering doubts and judgments like a chorus of naysayers drowning out hope. Emma's heart began to pound. Why was it so hard for them to see what she saw? She focused on Mr. Collins, grounding herself in the warmth of his presence. His eyes reflected a myriad of emotions, a blend of fear, hope, and an unshakable resolve. "Listen," Emma stepped forward, her voice ringing strong and true. "He is not just some guy. He is a person, and if you just talk to him, you'll see he is not the monster you all think he is." Somewhere in the throng, a flicker of interest sparked. A few of Emma's friends nodded, their expressions softening ever so slightly. But the hostility was still palpable, rooted deep in years of misunderstanding and prejudice. "Are you really willing to bet on this?" sneered a boy from the back. "What do you really know about him? What do we know about each other at all?" Emma shot back, breathing heavier now as she felt adrenaline coursing through her. "There's power in kindness. Open your eyes. We can build bridges, or we can keep building walls." She turned to her mother, seeking strength. "Mom, please, just give this a chance. Believe in me. You've taught me to see the good in people." Emma glanced at Mr. Collins, and their eyes locked. There was something beautiful in that moment. She felt like they were connected, like they were two trees standing firm against the same storm, rooted, steadfast. At last, Mr. Collins cleared his throat, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "I know I'm not perfect. I haven't always made the best decisions. But I want to be better. I want to learn." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Emma sensed a shift in the atmosphere. Uncertainty had started to seep in where anger had held court. "I would never want to put Emma in harm's way," he continued, gaze unwavering, "but I see so much potential in this partnership. We can help each other grow." And then it happened. A woman, who had been watching with a mix of curiosity and doubt, stepped forward. Maybe we haven't been fair," she said, her voice quieter. "Perhaps we've let fear dictate our judgment." Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her, but she also sensed the storm was far from over. How could she keep this newfound momentum from collapsing under pressure? Behind her, the whispers continued, some questioning, others rallying, pushing back against the wall of skepticism. Yet every voice of dissent only fueled Emma's resolve. "Things aren't easy, and I don't have all the answers," she said, her voice rising above the din. "But what I do know is that reaching out is the first step. If we want to change, we have to be brave enough to try." As her words hung in the air, she saw a glimmer of understanding reflected back from some of the faces in the crowd. Hope began to shift into determination. "Let us make a deal," she proposed, her heart pounding as she opened her arms wide. "Let us give each other a chance to prove what really exists beyond judgment." But just then, an unexpected figure charged through the throng, a furious look etched on his face. Emma's breath caught. It was the boy who had called her kid. "What's next, then?" he shouted, brandishing an accusatory finger. "You really think you can change anything? You're just a kid, they'll eat you alive." Would his harsh words extinguish the flicker of hope she had ignited? Or could Emma hold on to the light inside her, transforming it into a beacon not just for herself, but for those all around her? Emma felt her heart drop as the boy's words hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over the fragile shift she had sparked. The crowd held its breath, searching for someone to react, for something to break the tension. Doubt hung like a cloud, threatening to engulf the flicker of hope she had ignited. "What do you know?" she shot back, surprisingly fierce. What do you know about taking chances, about standing up for what is right? I may be young, but I'm not powerless. I won't let you or anyone else tell me what I can do." The boy sneered, clearly rattled by her intensity. "You'll regret this, kid. Trust me, things don't change just because you shout louder." Emma's cheeks burned with a mixture of determination and frustration. For a moment, silence cloaked the crowd again, and she wondered if her voice had even been heard. But then she spotted the woman who had stepped forward earlier. There was a flicker of compassion in her eyes, a sign that the tide might be turning. Maybe she is right," the woman said, crossing her arms tightly. "We've been too quick to judge. Maybe we need to listen." The murmurs resumed, quieter this time, shifting away from conflict towards a reluctant curiosity. Emma noticed several heads nodding, inspiration bubbling where resistance had been moments before. She took a deep breath, ready to seize the moment. "Let us hear him out," she urged, her hands open in front of her, inviting dialogue. "What does Mr. Collins want to share? What can we learn from each other?" Eyes shifted toward Mr. Collins, who stood still, watching the exchange with a mix of gratitude and nervousness. Emma reached for his hand, squeezing it for strength. "This isn't just about him. It's about all of us." With a hesitant step, Mr. Collins took a breath and stepped forward again. "I know my presence here is a surprise to many of you," he began, his voice stronger now, bolstered by Emma's support. "But I care about this community. I see its potential, its beauty. I want to contribute, not take away. And I might not get it right every time, but I'm willing to try." As he spoke, Emma felt a swell of energy from the crowd. People were beginning to lean in, their arms dropping to their sides, their expressions softening. There was hesitance, but it was less about anger now. It was more about a need for understanding. "And you all deserve that chance too," he continued, taking a small risk by smiling gently. "To share your hopes, your dreams, to confront the past in order to imagine a better future. Together." A ripple of applause broke out as some members of the crowd lifted their hands, joining the burgeoning momentum. It was small and tentative but filled with promise. Emma felt a bright spark of triumph igniting inside her. Maybe they could turn this around. Just as she opened her mouth to speak again, the angry boy shouted over the applause, "You really think you can change the world? You're just playing dress-up, Emma." The word stung, but she held on to the light in her heart. "No, I'm not," she affirmed, her voice steady in the chaos. "This is real. We're here for each other. That's what matters. I'm not afraid to try, even if it feels impossible." The air around her buzzed with the uncertainty and potential of the moment. Emma felt a wave of solidarity from her friends, their smiles encouraging, whispering that they believed in her resolve. But before she could say what was on her mind, the boy made a move that shocked everyone. He turned on his heel and stormed away from the crowd, calling back over his shoulder, "You'll see this one end well." Emma's heart raced. Had she lost the momentum? Would his doubt sway the growing support? Behind her, the crowd began to murmur, a new wave of voices rising against the boy's pessimism. The energy shifted again, sparking with excitement and doubt intertwined. Emma realized that this fight was just beginning not only for her and Mr. Collins, but for everyone involved. Could she hold on to this fragile flame long enough to see the darkness dispel? The answer lay ahead, tangled in the uncertainty of change. Emma glanced at Mr. Collins, and they exchanged a determined look. As the crowd continued to buzz around them, Emma felt the weight of her task growing. The promise of something beautiful was in the air. Yet, looming doubt pressed down like a heavy fog, and she took a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. What would they uncover about each other as they pushed towards this new beginning? And was it too late to reach those who had turned their backs? The atmosphere shifted, charged with a new energy as Emma stood beside Mr. Collins, their hearts racing together. The crowd, once skeptical, now seemed to share a collective breath, waiting to see what would unfold. "All right," Emma called out, desperation tinged with hope. "Let us hear from everyone. Let us bring our stories into the light." The words poured from her, filled with an infectious enthusiasm. She scanned the faces in the crowd, searching for a spark in someone else. "Who wants to share? What do you hope for?" A hesitant woman in the front stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly. "I want my kids to have a better life than I did," she stammered. "I want them to dream big." "See?" Emma exclaimed, her eyes bright. "We all want that. We can help each other tend to those dreams." As the woman spoke, others began to open up as well. A father spoke of the struggle of finding steady work. A teenager expressed her longing to be accepted for who she was. Each voice added layers of rich texture to the conversation, turning whispers into passionate exchanges. The dialogue wove a tapestry, stitching their dreams together, threading the fabric of community. Mr. Collins leaned closer to Emma, sharing in her excitement. "This is it," he whispered, watching the budding connections unfold. "They're finding their strength." Emma felt a warmth flooding her chest. Perhaps their fears of change could be transformed into hopes for a better tomorrow. People were beginning to realize they were not alone. But then, just as the moment felt like it was reaching a crescendo, the boy who had challenged her emerged again from the side of the crowd. The scowl on his face returned, a fortress of defiance. "Enough of this nonsense," he shouted, breaking through the camaraderie. "You think just talking makes a difference? What happens tomorrow when the real world comes crashing back?" A hush fell over the crowd, the weight of his cynicism heavy. Emma's heart sank for a moment, but she forced herself to meet his gaze, her spirit igniting. What if this isn't just about talking, but about listening? She countered. What if we're already changing by being here together? His expression faltered, confusion flickering in his eyes. He looked as if he wanted to argue, but a tremor of uncertainty rippled beneath his bravado. "Let us not ignore the truth," she continued, voice steady, "but let us face it together. What if today isn't just another day? What if we can really start something new?" The boy hesitated, his mouth opening and closing as if he were searching for the right words to dismantle her optimism, but came up empty. Emma could see a crack forming in his armor. He was grappling with the idea that what he believed could be changed. Looking around, the crowd too seemed to lean toward Emma's optimism, their nodding heads and murmurs of agreement buoying her confidence. And then, unexpectedly, a brave teenager at the back of the group stepped forward. "You're right. I've always felt like I was invisible. Like no one cared about what I had to say. I want to be seen." His voice echoed through the air, raw and pleading, and it struck a chord with many. The boy's eyes flickered. Emma held her breath, sensing that the tide was shifting. What would he say next? The collective heartbeat of the crowd grew stronger, weaving a narrative filled with the potential for transformation, each person's story pushing against the walls of doubt. Emma's own heart felt like it could burst, the power of shared vulnerability swirling around them. But as she prepared to speak again, to keep the momentum alive, she caught Mr. Collins' eye. He raised his eyebrows, a knowing glint of challenge. Would they allow fear to retreat? Or would they let it keep whispering their old doubts? Was the boy ready to listen? And could Emma foster a light strong enough to break through the thick fog of fear that had settled in their community? In that instant, the future was fragile and powerful, hanging in the balance as they all stood waiting. The moment stretched, thick with the tension of unspoken words. Emma's heart raced as she locked eyes with the boy. Determination surged within her. This was a chance, not just for herself, but for everyone standing before her. "It starts with us," she announced, her voice clear and firm. Each voice matters, every story counts, and together, we can create something that can't be ignored. The crowd stirred, energy rippling through them like a quiet wave. The boy's face was like a book half-read, filled with skepticism and intrigue. So what? We just sit here and hope for the best. Hope doesn't he pay the bills? His voice echoed, halfway between a challenge and a plea. Emma stepped forward, the air crackling between them. No, it doesn't he. But hope ignites change. Hope drives action. Remember that teenager who just spoke? He is longing to be seen. Our stories need to be told because they matter every struggle, every dream, and every moment we choose to stand together. A ripple of acknowledgement passed through the crowd. Murmurs of agreement broke through the tension like sunlight breaking clouds. Emma could feel her own voice rising, making her words take on a deeper weight. What if, instead of despair, we focused on what we can do? What if we came together to build something new not tomorrow, but today? A man stepped forward, his voice trembling slightly with emotion. I've been hiding my struggles for too long. I'm tired of pretending everything is okay when it's not. He glanced sideways at the boy, who watched with crossed arms. Our stories might be different, but I think we all share the same hope for something better. The boy's defiance wavered slightly, and the crowd surged with life. Yeah! Someone shouted from the back. We aren't just talking, we can make change happen. Emma felt a rush of camaraderie. Exactly. We can create groups, support systems, places to share more than just our fears. She could see the light flickering in the boy's eyes, could feel the hardened edges of his skepticism beginning to soften. But how do we start? He finally asked, words almost a whisper, his walls trembling. Emma took a breath, excitement bubbling within her. We start by connecting. By sharing what keeps us awake at night, and what makes us dream. We start by deciding we're not alone and that, together, we can make a difference. The crowd erupted with enthusiasm, clapping, shouting, voices intertwining in a chorus of newfound hope. Emma's heart soared. Let us break down those fences. She shouted over the cheers. Let us start right here, right now. Who is willing to share their story? The courage sparked across faces. More hands shot into the air, eager to be heard. One by one, they began sharing their truths, each story turning their fear into strength. Vulnerability flowed like a river, washing over barriers built from years of doubt. Then one of the youngest listeners, a girl with bright eyes and tangled hair, stood on her chair. I want to share. I feel so sad all the time. I just want to be happy. The raw honesty of her words struck a chord, and the crowd fell silent. Her small vulnerability gathered weight, pressing against the heart of their collective experience. Emma felt the desperate need for connection even more strongly now. This was it. These moments would define their community. But as the crowd settled into connection, Emma caught a glimpse of the boy. He was staring at the girl, the battle inside him juxtaposed with the growing light around them. Would he choose to embrace the warmth of their shared humanity, or would he recoil back into the shadows he had always known? The next voice entered the fray, a hesitant yet determined tone. I never thought I could speak out, but now I see. Emma held her breath, waiting to see if they could cross even deeper into the swamp of doubt and emerge on the other side. How would the boy move forward? Would he open himself to the transformation swirling around him, or slip back into a darkness he thought he understood? The air vibrated with questions, and the future hung poised on a razor's edge. The moment hung thick, almost tangible, as the crowd breathed in unison, waiting. Emma's eyes were locked on the boy. Could he feel the warmth of hope radiating from the stories shared moments before? She wanted to reach him, to pull down the walls he had built around himself. But the power of his past seemed to grip him tightly. I never thought I could speak out, but now I see. The voice of the last speaker resonated through the space. The moment held its breath, and he stared at the girl, his own thoughts swirling like leaves in a brisk wind. With a deep inhale, Emma decided to seize this charged atmosphere. "Tell us more," she prompted gently. "What you see matters. You matter." As she spoke, she could see the girl's courage echo in the boy's expression, pulling him towards the choice. "I guess I always thought I was alone," he mumbled. "Everyone else seems fine, but I'm not. And sometimes it feels like no one cares." His voice broke slightly, trembling with the weight of his admission. A hush blanketed the crowd, but it wasn't silence born of discomfort, it was a profound understanding. The young girl hopped down, her small frame brimming with bravery. "You do matter?" "I care," she said, her words weaving a thread of connection between them. "We all have our stuff, but we can still be friends." Emma's heart swelled as she watched the magic work. The boy's defenses were melting, revealing the vulnerability beneath. All around, nods of encouragement flared like fireworks. This was beyond just his story, it was about community, about realizing they weren't alone in their struggles. "I don't know how to fix it," he whispered, almost to himself. "I just want it to go away." Emma stepped closer, drawing the crowd in with her. "Maybe it's not about fixing it right now," she said softly. "It's about sharing it. It's about knowing that when things get heavy, we can lean on each other. That's what we're building here. A community where we support one another." The boy finally shuffled forward, feet barely carrying him. "I think I can try," he said, words gaining strength. "I guess I've been hiding for too long." Cheers erupted, encouragement bubbling over like a fountain. Emma felt the swell of shared emotions. With every story recounted, every shard of pain exposed, they built something profound. A community filled with raw honesty and strength. Then suddenly, the boy took a deep breath and began. "My dad lost his job last year," he paused, glancing around, the weight of his truth still raw. "I worried so much, I started thinking I was a burden. Everyone around me seemed so happy, and I didn't feel like I fit in." His voice faltered but surged again, steadying. "I didn't know how to tell anyone. I thought if I just stayed quiet, maybe it would go away." With those words, Emma felt the atmosphere shift. The boy wasn't just sharing, he was setting himself free. She could see him spreading his broken wings, willing to soar. She stepped forward, joining him in this moment of revelation. "Thank you for sharing that," she said earnestly. "It takes so much courage. You're not alone anymore. We're in this together." The boy offered a smile, hesitant at first but warm and genuine. "Thanks," he replied, glancing back at the girl who had inspired him to join in. Gratitude spread through the room, igniting spirits. They were no longer separate, but woven together by their stories. "A community of voices," Emma declared, her voice ringing strong and bright. "Let us keep this going." "Who's next?" Before she could take another breath, a new voice rose from the back. "I have something to say," came a determined shout, full of urgency. Emma turned, heart racing, ready to embrace the next story. Would it be another moment to transform the room, or would they face a deeper truth that could shake their collective resolve? The voice echoed through the gathering like a pebble dropped into still water, sending ripples across faces turned their way. A young girl stepped forward, her cheeks flushed yet aflame with conviction. "I always felt like I didn't belong," she said, her tone both fierce and vulnerable. "I was bullied, and it hurt. I wanted to hide, because I didn't want anyone to see me be weak. But listening to all of you, it makes me feel brave. I want to help others who feel like me." Emma felt warmth rise within her. This was it. The moment they all had been waiting for, the awakening of their shared humanity. The crowd buzzed, the air thick with connection. "Thank you for being brave," Emma yelled, her voice ringing out above the impending excitement. "You're helping us all find our courage." While the girl smiled, taking in Emma's affirmation, Emma's heart raced. Could they keep this momentum alive? As if summoned, Mr. Collins stepped forward, the pride radiating from him undeniable. "This is what it really means to be part of a community," he said, echoing Emma's sentiments. "We are here for each other. We grow through these conversations. Each story adds depth to our connections." His words reverberated, striking the souls of those present. Emma scanned the crowd, witnessing faces soften, understandings begin to shift. Hope was blooming heavily, and it inspired more voices to rise. "I used to think it was all about money," a man piped up, holding tightly to his daughter's hand. "But seeing this community turn towards each other, it's priceless." Laughter erupted, bubbling over like soda fizzing out of a freshly opened can, lightening the hearts of those gathered. "Exactly," Emma exclaimed. "This isn't just a place for judgment. It's a place for growth. We get to craft a tapestry of trust through sharing." She could see it now, a new world taking shape, woven from honesty and forged from the fires of doubt. Each story shared was a thread, a piece of their human experience intertwining, and Emma felt more alive than ever. This was the fuels of their collective transformation, the beginnings of a powerful community rising above struggles. Then the boy who had earlier confronted Emma stepped forward again, his uncertainty mixed with resolve. "I realize now I wasn't listening. I was just scared," he admitted, with his eyes darting across the crowd. "But seeing all of you here today, I think we could be more than just strangers around each other." Applause erupted, resonating like thunder, as relief washed over Emma. She watched the boys smile in honest, clean expression of newfound truth. They were all journeying forward, every moment becoming a stepping stone toward a better future. "I want to be a part of changing this," he declared, voice ringing with conviction. "We have to fight for each other, not against." "Yes!" Emma shouted, raising her hands, the crowd following suit, echoed by a wave of enthusiasm. The boy nodded, taking a breath of courage. "I was afraid it wouldn't matter if I spoke up. But now I see. We need to stop letting fear rob us of our voices." And in that glorious moment, Emma realized how far they had come. The divide was beginning to collapse, and underneath it all was a beautiful unity kindled in understanding. They had all emerged as allies, siblings in this transformative journey. "Let us make a pact, right here, right now," Emma suggested. "Let us promise to keep sharing our stories. Let us create a safe space where we can all stand strong against doubt and fear." "Yes!" came the cry from the crowd, each voice layered with hope and camaraderie. And just like that, it was solidified. Laughter and voices flowed through the air, humming with exhilaration, bursting forth like flowers pushing through the cracks of a concrete sidewalk. As they all stood together, the sun began to set behind them, painting the sky in shades of pink and warm gold. The day wasn't just closing. A new chapter was beginning, one written together. Emma felt an overwhelming wave of gratitude wash over her. She had driven a billionaire to the hospital, but that moment felt small compared to the journey they were creating now, healing one another, becoming more than they had ever been. In that swirl of excitement and warmth, Emma knew this was her place, her purpose. Not merely growing into the doctor she dreamed of being, but embracing her role in building bridges between lives, healing beyond the confines of medical books. Together, she shouted into the twilight, her words wrapping around them like a promise, a catalyst for a future they would shape side by side. And what was once a gulf filled with misunderstandings had become a stream flowing towards hope and connection. They were no longer just a group defined by their differences, they were a community aligned by the power of their shared humanity. Before the crowd could erupt in applause again, Emma felt a deep sense of urgency rising within her. This was the moment to embrace and ignite the next steps. There was work to be done to ensure this transformation wasn't fleeting. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories, she urged, her eyes alight with fervor. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters more than ever. The group echoed her excitement, responding with claps and cheers. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Tell us how this journey touched you. Laughter and shared smiles flared to life around her. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions. In that moment, surrounded by friends, newfound allies, and the warmth of shared human experiences, Emma realized the true power of connection. They were ready to write the next chapter of their lives together.